Yechi Adonai Morenu V'Rabbeinu Melech HaMashiach Lo Labad. Long live our King, Master, and Teacher, King Mashiach, forever and ever. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon for everyone. I have a very fascinating story to tell you this afternoon. This was actually a story that was relayed to me by Rabbi Shlomo Shmida, who nowadays lives in Yerushalayim, Shechia. And this story is based on a secret, actually, that was permitted to be released by the American government about 40 years after the Second World War. And the story goes as follows. As you know, during the Second World War, the United States of America and England were allies, and they were trying to fight off in the war Nazi Germany. And the war went as follows. Germany would send off many huge ocean submarines into the big ocean. Those submarines would dive very deep into the water, and any ship that had artillery and ammunition that was sent from America to the shores of England was shut down by those submarines. What would happen is those submarines would arise from those waters, from the deep water. They would go up, they would detect those ships that were full of soldiers and ammunition, and they would shoot them off. They would shoot them down. Many thousands upon thousands of soldiers were killed, and all the ammunition was destroyed, and it never made it to the shores of England. And so what England tried to do was to send over war aircraft up high in the air, and they would try to detect those submarines. But every time those submarines were in the air, and they were able to detect those. The aircraft was in the air, and they would detect a submarine coming up from the water. They would try to dive down in the air, trying to come down as close as possible as they could to the submarine in order to target it and shoot it, and destroy it. But those submarines detected. They were able to notice those war aircrafts in the air, and by the time those aircrafts would come down, the submarines would already submerge themselves back into the deep water, maybe a mile or two by the time the war aircraft was actually closer to them, and those aircrafts were not able to shoot those submarines down and destroy them as a result. Every time they tried to come down from the air, it would take a few minutes, as those submarines would already dive back into the deep water, and the war aircraft were helpless. They did not know what to do. This went on for a while, and hundreds of those ships that were full of ammunition and soldiers that were sent from America to the shores of England never made it. It was a big devastation for the whole England, and obviously for the families who lost all their loved soldiers. And England actually never was able to get any ammunition to fight off Nazi Germany, and as a result, it was a big loss. And at a certain point, England and the United States of America joined together, and they offered a huge sum of money to anyone who would actually be able to come up with a military device to rectify this issue, and they offered a very big sum of money. And the news reached the Rebbe's office, the Lubavitcher Rebbe's office, and the Rebbe summoned a few of the government officials to his office, and the Rebbe had told them the following: the reason the submarines are able to detect those war aircrafts in the air is because they look like something dark in the air. The sky is bright, and those war aircraft, when they're up in the air, they look like a dark spot. The only way for those submarines not to be able to detect those aircrafts is if we camouflage those aircrafts and make them the same color that the sky looks like. The sky is bright, and when those aircrafts go up in the air, they're dark, and they hide all the sunlight that's hitting them, and therefore they look like a dark spot, and those submarines are able to detect them, and therefore that's what causes all the trouble. Then they're able to dive back into the water. Those aircrafts never make it to them in time to shoot them down, and that is the problem. So how do we resolve this? The Rebbe said that we should actually do the following. The Rebbe said those aircraft have to be coated with light, like light bulbs, like big magnifying glasses that produce a lot of light, and they will be like coated on the bottom of the aircraft, and this way when those submarines look in the sky, they will not be able to detect them, because they will be camouflaged. They will look like the color of the sky. And at a certain point, they will be able to detect them when they come very close to them, but by that time, it will be too late for them to actually sink, dive into the water and hide themselves from those aircrafts. And it takes a little while to get into the water, like a few minutes. But by that time, those aircraft, which are much faster than the submarines, will be very close to the submarines and be able to shoot them down. And that's what the advice of the Rebbe was, and that's what the army did. Starting back with the aircraft from England, they coated the entire bottom of each aircraft, war aircraft, with light, a lot of light bulbs that produce a lot of strong light, and it camouflaged those aircrafts. Those submarines were not able to detect them up in the air. And then when those aircraft were very close to the submarines, and then the submarines would notice them, it would be too late already for the submarines to dive into the water. And this is how England was able to attack those submarines and shoot them down, destroy them, and eventually those submarines disappeared one after the other, and hundreds of them were destroyed, and all those ships that were sailing from America to England were able to make it successfully to England with all the soldiers and ammunition. And then in result of that, England was able to, and in America were able to invade into Nazi Germany and fight them off. And that's how Germany lost the war. So thankful to Rabbi Shmida for giving us a story. This is an unbelievable story, and there's more to it, more details, but we have to make it short. So, long live our King, Master, and Teacher, King Mashiach. We should see the redemption, the complete and true redemption taking place today, this very day. We should all be together in Yerushalayim. Thank you so much.